What are you doing, Ed?
Just doing the planning outline for our harvest meeting. You know, we're going to be at the GIC next week.
There's a lot of stuff we better be planning for.
Oh, absolutely. We got to do. We do it every year, right?
You bet. We plan way in front of this, don't we?
Have to.
Like
Absolutely.
months in front of that.
Absolutely. But I tell you what, do our clients do it?
That's a good question, and that's a good topic for this week's session, isn't
It
it?
really is.
This is
It
Head
really
Harvester Bill Orman from the West Coast.
This is Head Harvester Ed LaFawn from the East Coast.
Now, this topic this morning is going to be on planning, and we're just going to go through 9 simple steps and just go real simple on this to get you kind of excited about putting a plan together. It's a great time of year to do this. What are we in October?
Right.
Fall forward in a positive way, right?
Right.
And so the year's coming to an end. Now's a great time to do a plan. So we're going to go over these 9 steps with you, and then we have a much more in-depth planning process in the Harvest Academy, don't we?
Yes, we do. A whole section on it.
You bet. We think it's pretty darn important. So let's start at the beginning. So what are some of the key things, Harvester Ed?
Well, the first thing would be there's a lot of preparation that goes into a day when you plan. Some of it might be to review your vision, mission, and core values. That would be one thing. Also, you may want to have a survey sent to your customers and a survey internally for your internal people as well, all your employees, so you can get that data. And that's important to discuss that at that planning session. You know, what your customers think, what your people think.
Sure, that's a good thing. Then maybe if you did a plan last year, bring last year's plan to this year's plan, so you can kind of see where you came from and what you had last year as well. So we have that as part of your preparation. Mm-hmm. Another thing is, who's going to put it all together? So you got to get you organized. If you're the owner of the company and you're the only person there and doing all this, it's kind of hard. So divvy some of these tasks out to other people, collecting the survey, meeting with your people, getting all that kind of good stuff put together. Get the maybe even your P&L, profit and loss statement from last year, and then the year-to-date P&L as well. It'd be good as part of your preparation. That's step 1. Step 2 would be who's going to be attending. This could be kind of a touchy subject because you have multiple layers in your organization, who invites who, and this person doesn't get invited. So you got to be careful on that and be cognizant of that because that's important. So step number 2, decide who will be attending.
And another thing I think is very important, once you have all that put together, you have all this information, so all gathered together, where you're going to have it, because a lot of times I think a lot of owners are tempted to have it right in their office, you know, but bad idea. It's better to change the environment, go rent a hotel room somewhere where it's quiet, shut the cell phones off, and have designated periods of time where they can make their calls and receive calls, okay? That's the best thing to do, and then we'll be able to concentrate on that company, at least for that one day, because remember, you're preparing the next 365 days in that day.
So that's part of step 3, is when you're going to have it,
right?
Where it's going to be,
exactly,
and how long it's going to be. Usually a day. We usually recommend a day.
Yeah.
And where you have it, if you have it with where you if you do business with a hotel or a restaurant, get a back room. Try to do business with people that do business with you, so you can knock off 2 birds with 1 stone, as we say at the Harvester. Right?
Good point.
Step 4, facilitator or not. Should you have a facilitator? And when we did our planning, where I used to work, we had a facilitator. We flew him in from Chicago, actually, and it was fantastic. That way you kind of referee some of the dialogue that happens. Sometimes there's some heated discussions, and it's important to have a facilitator there. I believe so.
I did too. I did the same thing with my company. I had a professional person come in and facilitate the meeting, because they can help. They can actually enrich the meeting for you too.
What's the next step?
The next one is making sure you have a good agenda that's printed out ahead of time. Yeah. It's like an outline that you're going to follow, and you really need to follow that because you need to watch the timing so that you can get everything covered in that day.
Yeah, and so have that agenda prepared and have it prepared beforehand, right?
Yeah.
And determine really the purpose and objectives. Make sure we want to come out of here with a sense of direction. We want to have our goals set specifically, so have a sense of purpose with your planning. Mm-hmm. The next step would be actually conduct the planning session. You know, and have that all facilitated. And you need to have some of the bigger decisions. You don't have to make them right there. Somebody just want to put up what we call the parking lot. And you can decide later. Maybe you need to reflect or think of some of these bigger ones. And sometimes we sleep on some of those, maybe 2 or 3 days, and really give some thought to that, and then come back and make some decisions. Mm-hmm. And then here's the one that's really probably the most important one.
Critical.
We have this plan. We make these beautiful plans. Yeah. Most of us put it in a nice, clean little binder. And where's it go?
On the shelf.
On the shelf, or it holds the door open.
Yeah.
And just gets dust on it. So what should we do with that?
Really, you need to have a monthly meeting to touch base with the people who are involved in executing the plan, to hold everybody accountable, including yourself. So you have to schedule that every single month, and it only has to be 30 minutes, just a quick touch on how you're doing, to keep the thing moving. Otherwise, it's going to just end up with dust on the top of that notebook.
I think the next one, have accountability built in and make adjustments, because life happens. We know nothing goes exactly as planned.
Yeah.
So have a backup plan, maybe B or C. Some people don't believe in having backup plans. I'm always at option B, option C, because you know what? Life happens, doesn't it?
It does.
Things change. You have to adjust accordingly. We're landscapers. We adjust, don't we, all the time?
Have to.
We adjusted today, this morning already, quite 3 or 4 times. Then the last one, which I think is one of the most important, which harvesters really are pretty good at, I gotta admit, is celebrate. Celebrate the victories. When you have a victory, even small, go ahead and have some fun and cheer and hoot it up. I see some people have like choo-choo trains they send down the hall with a little message on what's going on. Some people have flags flying. It's celebrate,
Ring the bells.
enjoy the moment and enjoy the journey. So that's our session on planning. You want a much more detailed one. We have one in the academy. You members, you should be going to the academy right now and going through that and tuning that up. So this is Head Harvester Bill Arman.
And Head Harvester Ed LaFlamme.
Now go out there and harvest your potential with a great plan.